Morning, everybody. Today I thought I'd talk about what I actually do. Since 1975, I have been this mysterious job title of a film editor. And I don't think people actually understand what a film editor does. In a movie, you can kind of guess what the camera person does, or the sound recordist, or the composer. I think people don't understand what directors and producers do, and we'll talk about that. But the one job that nobody understands and doesn't appreciate, is the film editor. So today, let's talk about what film editing is. I think the best thing to say is that people make at least 3 films. The film that they fantasize they're going to make, the film that they actually shoot with the budget they were given, and then, with the material comes back to the cutting room, the film that they edit, and that's what you see. Because film editors are totally not involved in the pre-production, the scripting, the shooting. We only get to see what actually was filmed, which is very good. My classic story is, if you were getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to film the sunrise of the pyramids of Giza, and you stood there, and when the sun came up, it was raining, but you were there for so long, you'll still, as a director or camera person, want to use the shot. I wasn't there. When you come back to the cutting room and show me this crap shot of it raining over the pyramids of Giza, I'll go, that's no good, we'll do something better. You see, we are objective, I hope. That's why film editors are often not invited onto the set, because we are you, we are the audience. We actually don't want to know that the Star Trek set only ends there and that corridor is the same corridor filmed the other way. If we don't know that, then when we see the film, we can make it work for you, the audience. And that's what a film editor does. I think the other thing that we do is we tread lightly on other people's dreams. Okay, and the CIA. So even these films need editing. If you're considering entering the media industry in film or television and you like film editing, then you have to be very diplomatic. You need to work out the best things you can do with somebody else's material to tell their story the best that you can for the viewer. You shouldn't steamroller yourself over the material. I mean, unless you've directed it yourself, then you can be as harsh as you want to be. But if you're editing somebody else's stuff, be gentle with them and try and bring out the best of the material. Often what happens in a film is that somebody brings back rushes, dailies, that have no actual relationship to what they wanted. Something amazing happens on the set, especially in documentaries. You go out to do one film and you end up, because of what happened, making a second film. I and other film editors, when they see what you've brought back, will go, oh, that's the better story. I know you wanted to make that, and we can hint at that, but look at this amazing stuff. That's what a film editor does. Notice that I'm not talking about which button to press. I mean, film editing is also a bit of a technical skill. You need to learn some software, Final Cut Pro, Avid, Premiere, or whatever you're editing on, cutting wet string. It doesn't matter, because what you're really doing is telling stories, putting together relationships that move a narrative forward. So, is there a difference between working on documentaries or drama? Yes. Personally, I much prefer the documentary editing because you really don't have a plan. You have a general direction of what the film might be about, a subject, but how it's put together, the construction of the story, is very much you and the director in the cutting room. With a drama, you have a script and dialogue, and the actor said, forward man, or whatever, and you have to put it together initially. Often it will change initially to the script. I much prefer working with lots of material sometimes hundreds of hours of documentary material to get the best story out of what they shot, of the event that they covered. And that's just absolutely fascinating. It's really important that you have a special relationship with your director or producer that you're working with. They have to trust you, you have to respect them, you have to enjoy the camera work, and you need to bring out the best of what they shot. That's my best tip. So what have I worked on over the years? Well, I went to art college. I got a degree in fine art and media. I was very lucky to be hired because of very good college I went to was a socialist school of filmmaking where we made proper documentaries. It was in Sheffield. We documented the dying industries of the north of England, craftspeople in that fine city. And I learned my skills with some very good people, all those top northern filmmakers. And because of that, the BBC in London hired me because they knew that I had that kind of overall production skills of shooting and directing and sound and editing. So when a position came up at Ealing Film Studios as a trainee assistant, really bottom of the pile film editor, they took me on a one-year training course, which was technical and also working on some amazing productions, basically getting people's tea for a year and then eventually becoming an assistant. The assistant film editor runs the cutting room. The editor cuts the film and you do everything else. You file the trims, put the cans on the shelf, answer the phone, get them tea, and very much give the editor whatever they need, liaise with film laboratories. This is back in the day with film. In videotape, it would be the same. Liaise with video and graphic designers and speak to the composer and make sure everybody was happy. But all the time, keeping all that away from the editor, whose real job was probably on a flatbed editing machine or a computer today to edit the film. So all the other administration and tidying and syncing up rushes and graphics, as I said, are all organized by the first assistant film editor. It's a really important job, and it's actually a very good training to be a film editor. Then hopefully you will progress onto editing a film. Often what happens is the film editor is ill or something comes up where the director likes you but doesn't have a full budget to hire the editor, so they say, hey, Jim, do you want to edit it? And you go, yeah, sure, I'd like to. And that's how you progress. In the BBC, as an assistant, they want you to work on very top-end programs. So I worked on things like John le Carrier's Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Doctor Who, Tomorrow's World, and then became a film editor in news and current affairs on programs like Panorama and Newsnight, and then went on to edit films that I really liked the subject of, which was science films like Horizon. Leaving the BBC, I then worked for PBS, Public Broadcasting in Boston, WGBH, who made Nova, National Geographic, and Discovery Channel, and everybody who needed a film editor. And, that was great. I traveled all over the world. I've worked in Bulgaria, in Morocco, Tunisia, the United States, France, Africa, and in a lot of the time in the studios in London. Film editors often are called mushrooms because we're kept in a dark room and covered in piles of, that's why we're mushrooms. And that was the other reason why I learned to fly, because so much of what I experienced was third party. Crews would go out with directors through amazing places, wildlife films in the Serengeti, and bring back this stuff, which I only saw, like you, on a screen. And becoming a private pilot was suddenly making the world real. It was no longer virtual. So that was my big motivation to learning to fly. It actually put me in charge of my own destiny. And that was very important after spending most of my day virtually experiencing the world through other people's rushes or dailies. Then it was my world in my little Cessna. So please become a film editor. If you are sensitive to other people's ideas, you are good at putting stories together. You like music and pace. I think my background, again, going back to Sheffield in the 1970s, all my mates were in bands, that whole electronic era, the Human League and Heaven 17 and Cabaret Voltaire was, they're all friends of mine. And I could have easily been in the music industry because I like bands, I like pop music. I've always been, a popular music person. And working with composers and rhythm and timing is, I think, very important to a film editor. Also, having a bit of a visual background, skills background from art college, I enjoy basic graphic design. I understand color, so I can grade things. Color correction is very important, and sound mixing. If you've worked in mixing bands together down a local pub or in a festival, again, that's a skill. Film editors do a lot of things. We are multitasking. We're storytellers. We're philosophers. We're diplomats. We know what button to press. We can't spell. But we're graphic designers. We can do drawing. We commission composers to write the right emotional piece of music for the scene to enhance the story that you're telling, and we put it all together and work with producers and broadcasters to deliver what exactly they want. It's the key role. If you like to actually make things happen, if you want to put things together, be that final finisher, rather than just the person who starts a project and hands it over to somebody else, the film editor takes all those disparate projects and finishes a product and delivers a tape, a file, a film that is the final product. If that's something you enjoy, do study film editing and you'll do well, because it's a rare skill for somebody who isn't arrogant, who is technically minded, who understands music, who understands color, but very much understands the diplomacy of storytelling, working gently on other people's dreams. That's what I've done all my life, and I thought you'd be interested to know. I guess the truth is out there.